Namaste and welcome back to today's episode of Mahabharata Matters. In the previous episode, we saw that the Pandavas were sent away to Varanavarta. Vidura knew that Duryodhana was planning to burn them in a palace at Varanavarta. He hinted Yudhishthira that when a rat is caught in fire, it digs a tunnel. He had said this sentence in a Mlecha Bhasha, which was a dialect that was understood by very few people. After this, the Pandavas and Mother Kunti had started their journey to Varanavarta. Purochana, the architect of the palace, visited them at Varanavarta and invited them to come and stay at the palace he had built. He said that the Kaurava princess had specially built that palace in honor of them. He had named the palace as Shiva. Around this palace called Shiva, Purochana had dug a moat. He explained to them that the moat was dug to keep them safe. On the contrary, it was actually dug so that they could not escape when the fire happened. As per the suggestion of Dhritarashtra, they were going to stay there for a whole year. Purochana was a spy. He constantly kept watch on the Pandavas. He would go wherever they went. As soon as they went in the palace, Yudhishthira knew something was not right. He had kept his senses alert. He pulled Bhima aside later on and he narrated to him what he thought. He said, "This is a plot by our cousins and they want to kill us here." Bhima was enraged by this. He immediately wanted to go tell everyone in the kingdom about the evil intentions of Duryodhana. Yudhishthira explained to him how Vidura had given him a hint while they were leaving Hastinapura. He said, "Let's wait. I am sure Vidura has something in mind." After a few days, a miner approached Yudhishthira when Purochana was not around. Purochana constantly hung around the Pandavas because he was spying on them. The miner identified himself using the same sentence that Vidura had used in the Mlecha language, that a rat, when caught in fire, digs a hole to escape. The miner said that Vidura had sent him to dig a tunnel for them so they could escape when the palace was on fire. He started to work immediately. But then Purochana was hanging around the Pandavas all the time. So, on the pretext of hunting, they would always wander in the forests. Purochana, wanting to keep an eye on them, would go along with them. This gave enough room and time for the miner to dig the tunnel for the Pandavas. The Kauravas did not plan on killing them immediately because immediately they would be the suspects. Almost a year had passed and the tunnel was ready by now. They got word that Purochana was planning to set the palace on fire on the 14th night of the dark fortnight. The skies would have no light, it would be dark, that would be ideal for Purochana to kill them. Knowing this, Yudhishthira decided to take his lead at this time. He asked Mother Kunti to arrange for a feast for everyone in the palace. Purochana had a frequent visitor. It was a Nishada woman who used to come with her 5 sons. They all ate heartily and were drunk too. They were all sleeping. That is when Yudhishthira and his brothers, along with their mother, decided to escape. Yudhishthira, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva and Kunti started escaping through the tunnel. Bhima set fire to all quarters of the palace. Sleeping in the palace were Purochana, the Nishada woman and her 5 sons. Bhima escaped through the tunnel. He left the tunnel open just so that all the debris would fall and the tunnel would get covered up, so that nobody would ever come to know that they had escaped through the tunnel. When they came to the other side of the tunnel, a boatman was waiting for them. He introduced himself as Vidura's friend, again with the same sentence in the Mlecha language that a rat, when caught in fire, digs a tunnel and escapes. This again helped Yudhishthira identify that he was none other than Vidura's friend. They all took his boat and crossed river Ganga and went far away from Varanavarta. Here, people looking at the burning palace thought the Pandavas and their mother had died in the fire along with Purochana. What do we learn from this story? Pandavas knew that Duryodhana was planning to kill them. They did not make noise at that time. They waited for the right time to escape. They wanted to catch Duryodhana in his act red-handed. They trusted Vidura. He had said the best thing for them right now was to lay low. They listened to his advice. Confronting someone may not always be the right thing to do. Instead, keeping quiet may be a better option at times. That's something we can learn from Yudhishthira in this episode. Patience is certainly a virtue. Yudhishthira did that very well. Trust is essential before we join hands with anyone. Yudhishthira did not blindly believe the boatman or the miner. The sentence that Vidura had told him worked as a secret password so that he could trust them. Making sure that someone is trustable is essential before we confide anything about ourselves to other people. With these thoughts, we come to the end of today's episode. Remember, in this series, we are discussing matters of Mahabharata because even today, Mahabharata matters. Hari Om!